T4 and welcome back to another video in our session called Painting with Words. Now today we're going to be using quotation marks, so a form of punctuation to help as we paint a picture with the words we're using. Now first of all I need to go into what are quotation marks. We've come across them before, particularly in years 2 and 3. We also refer to them as speech marks and they're a form of punctuation. We use them a lot when we write narrative texts. And the reason we're doing it now is because next term, we're going to be focusing in on writing a narrative, and we're going to need to have all of these different ways to paint with our words to make them incredible. Now, they're used by writers to show the words that are being spoken by a character rather than the narrator in the story. That's why they're called direct speech, because it's the things that the characters are directly saying. So sentences which usually include direct speech would have the words spoken by the character and then the words spoken by the narrator. And the reason that that's the case is because we need to know who's saying it. Because as you're painting a picture with your words and the person reading your story is visualizing which character is saying which part of the speech, they need to know who said it so they can visualize well. So here are some examples. So sometimes we have the narrator's words first, followed by the character's words. So this one, the boy detective said, "It's time to look for clues." You can see here that the direct speech, the quotation marks or the speech marks are around exactly what the character is saying. And the narrator here is telling us who said it. So it helps to paint a great picture. Here's another example, because it doesn't always have to be with the narrator's words first. Sometimes the narrator's words follow the character's words. "It's time to look for clues," the boy detective said. So we've got the direct speech that the character is saying. There's the speech marks there to show exactly what they're saying. And then the narrator is telling us who said it. Here's a trickier example. Sometimes the direct speech is broken up with the narrator interrupting the speech in the middle. "It's time," said the boy detective, "to look for clues." You can see here that we have to open and close the speech marks at the beginning because the narrator jumps in to tell us who's saying it, and then we open them and close them again at the end because it's the same lot of speech, but the boy is not saying, "It's time," said the boy detective, "to look for clues." He's not saying that whole sentence. He's just saying the beginning and the end, and that's where we use the speech marks to really paint that picture of exactly what the boy is saying. Today, we're going to practice adding speech marks to pieces of text that are already written, and then you're going to have a little go of writing your own direct speech and having the narrator and the character's words written out with the speech marks at the end of the activity. So the first bit that you need to do today looks like this. It says "as a class," but this is just you to do. Add the missing quotation marks to this text. "Mum, I can see Superman!" exclaimed Michael. So you'll need to figure out in that sentence which part is the character directly saying something and which part is the narrator telling us which character is speaking. So you will get the pencil or the texter, and red would be a great color to use. And you can add, whoops, it's not working as well for me with the mouse. So, "Mum, I can see Superman," and that's what he's saying, exclaimed Michael. So I'm showing here that that's what the character is saying, and then that's the narrator telling us who is saying it. And you'll need to do that for each of these sentences. Mum replied, "Are you sure, Michael?" So we add our speech marks, our quotation marks in at the beginning and the end. So you can see that's the narrator telling us who is saying it, and then the direct speech is there. Once you've done this page, you can have another practice on this second page. So again, use red to add in the quotation marks, the speech marks, making sure that you don't add the narrator's voice in with the direct speech. A good way to do it is to read it back. Anything that you've put inside the speech marks, read it with the character's voice, and if you find yourself saying, "Come over here, Sam called Dad," and you've got the whole thing inside the speech marks, if you do it in the voice, you'll hear out loud that it's not quite right. The final thing to do today is to have a look here at this cartoon. we've got two characters who are directly saying something to each other. I'm running faster than ever before, and don't knock me over, please. You're going to practice writing some sentences to use speech marks for this little interaction. So when you're painting a picture with your words, you're going to have to use your narrator's voice. You're going to have to add in the narrator part to tell us exactly who's speaking, so that as I'm picturing it, I can picture the conversation going back and forth. So we can't just put, I'm running faster than ever before, please don't knock me over, in two different sets of speech marks, because we won't know who's saying it. So what we want to see down the bottom here is, now you can type it today if you'd like, but it would be fantastic if you could write it in your book and take a photo. A little bit of an interaction using direct speech, using these two bits of information. You could also add a bit more to the conversation for a bit more practice. Tomorrow, you're going to have a go at writing a full conversation yourself, but today we're just having a little turn at this interaction here. Now, all the best using your words to paint a picture using quotation marks, speech marks, and we look forward to seeing what you come up with.